We all think about it. How do we keep our minds sharp as we get older? Is it all just a roll of the dice? Well, let's dive in and see what the science has to say. For the longest time, it really might have felt that way. You've heard all the advice, right? Do your crossword puzzles, stay social, eat your veggies. But what if one of the most powerful tools for protecting our brain has been right there all along, and we've just been, well, kind of underestimating its power? In fact, some really groundbreaking research is revealing this fascinating and honestly kind of startling link between the type of exercise we do and how resilient our brain is. And it turns out, not all exercise is created equal, not by a long shot. So to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to look at a recent study from 2023 out of Italy. Researchers there took a really close look at how different lifestyles affect the aging brain. They wanted to know, does just any movement help, or is there something more specific going on here? Okay, so here's how they set it up. The study followed 151 seniors, all between 65 and 87 years old, and they split them into three really distinct groups. First up, you've got the hikers, who are doing pretty intense, vigorous hiking outdoors. Then there was the gentle gym group, doing more moderate stuff indoors like swimming. And finally, you have the sedentary group, who, as the name suggests, weren't doing much regular physical activity at all. So let me ask you, who do you think did the best? I mean, common sense would probably tell you that both active groups, the hikers and the gym goers, would do better than the sedentary folks, right? Maybe the hikers would have a little bit of an edge. But what they actually found was way more dramatic. Okay, so check this out. These are the scores from a standard cognitive test, the mini mental state examination. It looks at things like memory and attention. As you can clearly see, the hikers, that bar in blue, scored way higher. But here's the real shocker. Look how close the other two bars are. The gentle gym group and the sedentary group, the scores are practically identical. Wow. This was the absolute bombshell of the study. I mean, the researchers themselves put it right here, saying the group doing that moderate, gentle exercise was cognitively and psychologically much more similar to the sedentary group than to the hikers. The takeaway here is huge. Just moving wasn't enough to get that major brain benefit. It seems like the intensity and maybe even the environment were the real secret sauce. So this just begs the question, right? What on earth was giving the hikers such a massive advantage? The study had to dig deeper to figure it out, and they started looking beyond just the physical movement and into things like psychological well-being. And boom, here's a major clue. This chart shows scores on the geriatric depression scale, and for this one, a lower score is better. And look, the hikers reported significantly better moods. We know for a fact that mood and depression are deeply linked to cognitive health, so this suggests that psychological boost was playing a really big role. The researchers also explored this really cool concept called cognitive reserve. The best way to think about it is like a protective savings account for your brain. The more you do mentally stimulating things throughout your life, like learning, having a complex job, or even engaging hobbies, the more you build up this reserve. It makes your brain tougher and more resilient to age-related decline. And would you look at that? When they measured the cognitive reserve built just from leisure activities, the hikers were once again way out in front. So their lifestyle wasn't just physically intense, it was also more mentally and socially engaging. They were actively building up that protective buffer for their brains. And finally, there's a piece of this we just can't ignore: where the exercise was happening. The hikers were outdoors, in nature. This study and a lot of other research shows that being in natural environments can slash stress and sharpen your attention. That's another whole layer of benefits you're just not going to get on an indoor treadmill. Okay, this is all fantastic, but I hear you. It brings up a super practical question. Most of us aren't exactly trekking through the Alps 3 times a week. So does that mean we're just out of luck? No, absolutely not. The key principles here, intensity and consistency, can be applied anywhere, by anyone. So how do we turn all this science into a real-world plan? Well, for that, we can look to the fantastic Growing Stronger guide from the CDC. It offers a really safe and effective roadmap for building strength, no matter your age. And listen, the most important thing to remember here is that this is not about becoming some elite athlete overnight. Not at all. It's about making a sustainable change, and that always starts with a clear, personal plan. A great way to start is by setting what the CDC calls SMART goals. That means making your goals specific, measurable, attainable, relevant to you, and time-based.
So instead of just saying, oh, I'll exercise more, a SMART goal would be something like, I'm going to do 20 minutes of strength exercises 3 times a week for the next month. See the difference?
And you don't need a fancy gym or any equipment to get going. You can literally start right in your own living room. The CDC guide says to begin with foundational movements, things that improve your flexibility and get your body ready. A simple chest and arm stretch, just like this one, is a perfect first step. And then, from flexibility, you can start to build some real strength. An exercise like this knee curl is a perfect example. It's super effective for your legs, and because you're using a chair for support, it's also incredibly safe. This is exactly how you start building strength in a smart, controlled, and accessible way.
Now, as you get more comfortable, the idea is to gradually increase the challenge. And this is where it all comes full circle, right back to that Italian study. The goal isn't just to mindlessly go through the motions. It's to find a level of intensity that challenges you, because that's what builds real strength, and that's what delivers those powerful benefits for your brain. So we've seen the powerful science, and we've looked at the practical first steps. Now it's really about looking forward and putting it all together for yourself. So let's just quickly recap the big ideas here. First, the science is crystal clear. It's the intense, regular activity that gives you a major cognitive boost. Second, and this was the big surprise, general exercise just might not be enough to offer much protection. Third, getting outside into nature can be a game changer for your mood and brain. And finally, and this is the best part, you can start this journey to build strength and protect your brain today, right from home. Ultimately, this is all about reframing how we think about aging and activity. It's not about decline, it's about building resilience. It's about exploring what you're capable of, and it's about taking active control of your health, both for your body and your mind. So, the science has given us a clear direction. The tools are there for everyone. The only question left is the one you have to answer for yourself. What journey are you going to choose for a stronger, sharper future? What new horizons will you explore?